You just have to start referring to yourself as an artist to people when they ask you what you do, and then eventually you'll start believing it. My cab driver would be like, so what do you do? And I'd be like, oh, I'm an artist. And then it's like, what do you make? I'm like, okay, well, I make erotic selfie quilts. And then like, what's that? I was like, okay, I take naked pictures of myself and then I turn them into quilts. It's such a weird thing to tell a stranger. But now I kind of will just say that I make quilts and textile art because it's not just the erotic selfies. I had been with my partner for like 10 years, and he decided that we had to have an open relationship. And I was like not down with that, but because I didn't want to like lose the family and the marriage, we like went to counseling and agreed to do it, and we like started to date other people. And it was really strange because I was like, I got a lot of value out of dating other people. And one of the things that I became aware of was like that I hadn't been enjoying sex with my partner. And like having sex with a new person was eye-opening and sort of awakened like me to like, oh, like I'm this, have an erotic self that I just thought was gone. Like I just thought like I wasn't that into sex, you know? I started to like take pictures of myself to send to my like new partner, and he was like not really into them. It was weird. He was like, which is so to me really strange. Okay, fine, but like, I was like, all right, I like doing this. And then one day I was like, oh, I can make a quilt out of this. Yeah, and then I started to actually take selfies for quilts. Funny, part of quilting, you have to like, when you put the 3 layers together, you need to pin them, like pin the layers together. And sometimes I feel like I'm doing voodoo, you know, like pinning myself. It feels very violent. I've been doing tarot card readings since I was 15. I remember getting my first deck. So I was drawing tarot cards, and then I was watching The Golden Girls, which I grew up watching with my grandma. And then one day I was like, oh, I'm gonna make the 4 queens of the different suits. So there's the pentacles, swords, cups, and wands. And I was like, oh, like there's 4 golden girls, like, and they're sort of clearly aligned with these archetypes from the tarot. And I just thought that was really funny and weird. And then I made it into a quilt because that's what I do. The thing is, everybody has all of these elements to them, so it's just like, what was it? Like Dorothy in the streets, Blanche in the sheets, kind of. This one has your daddy's face on it. You want to put your daddy's face on it? Is that what daddy? Yeah.
17, 18, 19, 20. That way.
I don't see any blood. It may be red because it's hurt, but you didn't see the skin. Yeah, I mean, it was a really huge identity shift for me because before then I was really like stay-at-home mom, and that was my 7 days a week thing. And then all of a sudden that identity disappeared on some level. When I had this like free time, it was, I had space really for myself to really feel like I was an artist, and like it wasn't that I was a mom who did art, you know? Even though I'd been making the quilts for like a year before, it was about a year before my partner moved out. Replaceable. How do you make something like to push the form to do something like a quilt that falls apart, a quilt that hurts you? Like, think about challenging the form, or playing with the tension. And so the mean pillow thing to me was like, pillows are really comforting, and this is a pillow that says something mean. And I kind of got obsessed with the traditional tattoo heart, like in the banner thing. I'm still really into that. But this was like my biggest fear, especially around going from a monogamous relationship to a non-monogamous one. Like, one of my biggest fears was like being replaced, or like being replaced as a parent too. And so I made this one about that. And this one says unfuckable. And it says it many times. The first one I made was you fuck like a book. You know, I don't know exactly what it meant, but it hurt. One of the ones that I had was I'm not sexually attracted to you, which was like such a, wow, it's hard to hear that from somebody you've been sleeping with. Like, okay. But I sold it. The woman who bought it was just like delighted by it. The forgiveness pop-up is this idea I came up with a few months ago. There's a book by Desmond Tutu and his daughter, and it's about the process of forgiveness. And there's 4 steps in their process. And the first is telling the story. The second step is naming the hurt. The third step is forgiveness. And the fourth step is renewing the relationship or releasing the relationship to the person. And I feel like I've been doing kind of a lot of the storytelling and the naming of the hurt, like in my artwork, but not a lot of forgiveness. For the forgiveness part, I had them write out what they wanted to forgive on a piece of fabric, which I have now, and I'm going to sew onto a flag and see if we can get them to display it outside so that it will disintegrate. The forgiveness fabric will disintegrate over time from nature, from being exposed to the elements and time. My name is Amy Subak, and I am an artist and a mom and just like an all-around groovy gal. Yeah.